We are here, John Pollock, John Ramdeen, and Robin Black with you, looking at UFC 207. It will be headlined by Amanda Nunes defending her UFC Bantamweight Championship for the first time. It has been the hot potato championship because no one has been able to defend that title since the challenger, Ronda Rousey. It's her first fight in 13 months. Is this the most interesting fight of Ronda Rousey's career? Because it is for me, John.
Yeah, of course. I mean, before this, she hadn't lost. Everybody saw her get kicked. Everybody thought she was the unstoppable force. This girl was going to be champion for a long, long time. I was one of those people because of how destructive she was in both Strikeforce and the UFC. Holly Holm, because of her background, because of her pedigree, because of who she trains with and who coaches her, they had a great strategy the entire time going into the UFC and her fights in the UFC. I know a lot of people pointed the finger at her. The goal was to get the job done, and she got it done spectacularly. She was winning the fight with Miesha Tate. Miesha Tate's just one of those individuals who just is constantly has her eye on the prize, and even in the last second, she kept it there and ended up capturing the championship. This fight with Amanda Nunes, the reason why I like Amanda Nunes in this fight, and I'm not saying she's necessarily going to win this fight, but she's been sharp. She's been constantly, we've seen the improvements from her. Now working at American Top Team over the last number of years, she gets to work with, good quality teammates, and it's a revolving door. It's a facility of champions. We've seen it time and time again. Ronda Rousey, who is she improving with? Has she improved? Does she have the skills necessary to deal with Amanda Nunes?
If the Ronda who beat Alex Davis and who beat an Olympic silver medalist and who took Kat Zingano's arm off, if that one went straight into this fight and we were like, you know what, Amanda Nunes has a chance to win this, you'd call us shills and say that we're just trying to sell stuff for the UFC. You'd never believe it. Nobody would ever believe us. They'd be like, are you kidding me? She just eats girls like this for breakfast. But we can never unsee that Holly fight. We can never unsee that. That's in there forever. Changed everything. Change how we look at it, change how Amanda looks at it, and it changes how Ronda Rousey views herself. And that's probably the biggest thing. There's a lot of talk. She's saying, I'm not going to talk to the MMA media. Now, a big part of me is like, good, because most of these guys are idiots. And they'll ask you all the same question over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and it'll all be about your words anyways. It won't be about your actions, so great. Concentrate on fighting. But then another part of me is like, she's doing that. We know that she was shook after that meeting with Amanda Nunes and being in front of the audience, possibly because of scrutiny, right? If you don't like scrutiny and you don't like people watching you and you don't like the eye of all of the pressure of everybody looking, that's all going to be there at UFC 207 on December 30th. If that's the issue, if it is, you can't just say, I'm not going to deal with any of it, but then the night when it matters the most, it's going to be nothing to me. You can't do that. You have to get ready for it. So I completely get not talking to these tomato cans. But at the same time, you can't just go from zero to pay-per-view main event and not expect to feel pressure.
But doesn't she already have that experience of fighting in front of near 60,000 people in Australia? She's dealt with that before. She can
lost
rely
that
on
night.
Sure. But the times before that, she's fought in front of big crowds before, so it's not something that's going to be unfamiliar to her.
But if you bear with me on the thinking, remember how much she loved red carpets, how much she loved people watching her, how much she loved talking to people? That has changed now for whatever reason. Those things go together. That love of being, of course you love being scrutinized, looked at, observed, and studied, and having opinions on when you're the greatest thing ever. You love that. Then the time comes that they all turn on you. Through no fault of her own. And people will be like, oh, well, she said this stuff about, who cares? You don't need to react to it. We're humans react. She acted that way because she perceives somebody doing something wrong to her. And then people go and look and perceive she did something wrong to the royal we because she was angry. We don't have to treat her that way, but we have, and that's why she's feeling this. And you can't just ignore it. You have to deal with it head on so that on the night when you walk in there, you're ready for it.
What do you expect? Do you expect to see a different Ronda Rousey than the one we've seen, when she was dominant, when she was the champion? Is the assignment the same, do you believe? Just go out and try to arm lock her, or do you expect to see improvements in Ronda Rousey?
I don't expect to see the Ronda Rousey that we saw against Holly Holm. I mean, that was a fight that in one of the only interviews she has done leading into this with ESPN, she stated the fact that fight we forget was originally for January 2nd. Then Robbie Lawler got hurt. They said, Ronda, we need someone for Australia. Can you do it? She says, sure, and cuts her camp down to 44 days. And that was the worst Ronda Rousey we've seen, and that was evident right from the start of that fight. She was tired, she was confused. There was that lunge into Holly and just missing her completely and going into the cage. I mean, I don't expect to see that kind of a Ronda Rousey. She's had 13 months to dwell on that loss, and I don't know what that does to somebody. I don't know what 13 months fixated on a loss does to someone. How much of fighting has she just completely put at the side for a large part of this past year and a month?
But you would imagine, sorry to cut you off, that because of her network of people, she has affiliations with the Diaz brothers in that camp, and Judo Gene LaBelle, a guy that's been in this game longer than most people. So when you have that network of people, you would imagine that they are telling you it is not the end of the world. You know what Chuck Liddell and BJ Penn and George St. Pierre and Randy Couture and Fedor Emelianenko, some of the greats in mixed martial arts, what they all have in common, they all lost fights.
But you also have a coach who pushes your own mother out, who tells you you're doing great after you just got your face caved in, and you've seen the way that he's acted in fights since then. You have that too. It's a weird one. I feel for her. She's a human being who tasted things that most people will never taste just due to, stardom and all the things that came with it, and now has tasted the real dark side of culture with the way that they turn on you. You start acting like you think you can do whatever because we put you in that situation. It's a strange one for sure. I don't know. You don't know how she's going to react. There's no way to know. Even saying after, well, that fight was supposed to be January 2nd. I only had 44 days. Mike Bisping said, I only got 6 days. And you know what's good about that? I was partying and everything, but now it's all perspective. Mike Bisping looked at 6 or 8 days and said, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Ronda Rousey looked at 44 and said, oh man, that's not good.
Nate Diaz, 11 days.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's all perspective. And the perspective that you take as a high-level professional athlete is you blame yourself. So if you blame yourself, you have something to fix.
One final thing. During media week, do you expect Ronda Rousey to just be a ghost? Is she? She certainly has that pull that if she doesn't want to do anything, she doesn't. But I just find it interesting that this is from Ronda Rousey, someone who, back when she was fighting in Strikeforce and then the Liz Carmouche fight, this was someone who did anything and everything because she was pushing this sport, pushing this division. She knew this pay-per-view couldn't fail or else the women might disappear. And now it's the opposite. She's completely turned that off. And I feel that it's just something that you look at, a switch that has flipped with her. And I'll disagree with Robin because I feel that you can't just group all of the MMA media as just this one thing. I feel that Ronda Rousey...
Just 90% of them.
But Ronda has done that. Ronda has just, looked at this section and she's not going to do it. And even mainstream outlets. She'll talk to Ellen and she'll talk to ESPN, and that's about it. Do you expect to see anything else from Ronda during fight week?
Of course not. I really don't think she would. Like, everybody understands that she's the star. It's just like Brock Lesnar. The guy doesn't need to talk to anybody because we all know the spotlight is brightest on Brock, and we haven't even really talked about Amanda Nunes, and she's the friggin' champion right now. It is all about Ronda Rousey and her mental state and how what she's been doing for the past 13 months, and is she going to talk to media? She knows that. She understands she doesn't need to talk to anybody because we're doing all the talking for her. She just needs to focus on the things she needs to focus on.
We're really honestly at a time, and yeah, I always make jokes at the mixed martial arts media just because it's the one closest to us.
Easy.
You could do it with the music media. You could certainly do it with the political media. Media in general has got to a point where we gossip about what we heard them say, or we parrot what the UFC or CNN or whatever said, and we ask them the same questions over and over, and most of them don't mean anything. We all do it. We do it on Twitter. Regular people do it. When people have regular conversations, we got to start thinking for ourselves. And if I was Ronda Rousey or Conor McGregor or a young fighter, if you're a young fighter and you need that and you want to use these people to spread your thing, by all means do it. But if I was these guys, I'd be like, what am I doing? I'm wasting my time having the same conversations over and over again with a bunch of people who parrot concepts from 10 years ago about rankings and title shots and what somebody else said in Twitter beefs. And let's get our shit together, for Christ's sakes.
I want to end off on Amanda Nunes. What's the most important thing for Nunes in this fight? Because I think Amanda Nunes winning this fight, completely possible. I think
agree.
this is a very hard fight to predict. There's just so many questions that you can't answer going into this
It's
fight.
going to be her preparation. She knows. She understands exactly where she is. She knows what she's facing. She's going to be prepared. She's going to be confident, and that's what she needs to be in this fight. Do your best to try to wilt Ronda Rousey. Try to get her out of her comfort zone right away. If somehow Ronda manages to get the fight down to the ground, if you defend and get back up, you'll just see Ronda kind of evaporate in there. And I think that's what Amanda Nunes is hoping for. But you can't count on that. That's the thing. You cannot count. Maybe you're facing the biggest giant of mixed martial arts. That loss was so important that no matter what you do to Ronda Rousey, she keeps coming back, and Amanda Nunes has to expect that.
And since we don't know what we're facing, if we're Amanda Nunes and her coaches, you expect the very, very best, and you're ready for the very, very best, and you ready yourself to be in shape. So in the third and the fourth and the fifth, you're still there, and you go in and you beat this woman.
Amanda Nunes defends the bantamweight title against the returning Ronda Rousey at UFC 207 on Friday, December 30th.